Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down? This leaning wall, this tottering fence. Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. With their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul finds rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honour depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. Surely the lowborn are but a breath, the highborn are but a lie. If weighed on a balance, they are nothing. Together they are only a breath. Do not trust in extortion, nor put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God. And with you, Lord, is unfailing love. And you reward everyone according to what they have done. Amen. Have you ever been caught talking to yourself as you walk down the street? Perhaps you were rehearsing an argument, one that had already happened, remembering what you should have said, or one that was to come, trying to work out what you would do. But as you walk thinking, you forget that other people can see you. I've certainly walked on the street and turned a few corners in mid-conversation with myself to find someone coming the other way and looking at me like there was something wrong. Usually you try to cover it with a song or a cough, but you've been caught. To me, Psalm 62 sounds a lot like self-talk. Someone is speaking to themselves. In fact, one of the commentators points out that most of the psalm is someone talking to themselves about God rather than speaking to God. And yet it's still an example of prayer to us. It's very out of fashion now, but there was a programme called Little Britain, and one of the people that was famous, one of the characters, was Vicky Pollard. And I don't know if you remember, she always went on about, yeah but, no but, yeah but, no but. That's a terrible impression, wasn't it? In Psalm 62, the Hebrew word for yeah but is said about 6 times. And so the psalmist keeps on challenging his own views, but saying, yes, but. God is our refuge. The speaker seems to be someone of a position of power or authority, but they feel that they are surrounded by enemies, a little bit like our last psalm. And yet they remind themselves that they do not have to worry about the people round about them who criticise them and challenge them and want ill for them, because God is their place of safety. And so they should pour out their hearts. In fact, they move from speaking to themselves to speaking to those round about them. They find comfort that God is with them and that God will protect them. And they offer that comfort to those that they speak to. They turn from an inner voice to saying to the folk round about them, we are but a breath. It doesn't matter if you're powerful or wealthy. It doesn't matter if you're great or small. You can find security in God. In fact, that's where you should find it. Don't trust in wealth. If you have wealth, don't make it your greatest priority, because we come and go so quickly in this life. We really are nothing in the grand scheme of things, but God is our place of safety and security. Anyone who's done some CBT will know that self-talk can be quite helpful, apart from when you get caught in the street doing it. It's useful to challenge your perspective. It's useful to challenge your negative ideas about yourself or other people. It's good to think, well, this is what I think or how I feel, but what's the alternative? What might be another perspective on this? As much as I value self-talk, as much as I value trying to see the other perspective or the more positive view, sometimes it's nothing more than wishful thinking. Sometimes I can kid myself. And so, yes, try and challenge your perspective, but at the same time, there is still chaos round about us. There are still negative things going on. And the reality is I can change and improve my perspective and become more useful and helpful, but it doesn't change my external circumstance. But there is a difference for the Christian self-talk. For the person who prays like this psalm, who reminds themselves of the truth of God, who reminds themselves that God is with them and is active and is a place of safety, that self-talk actually connects to a wider reality. That prayer actually could change our external circumstances. Because rather than relying on our own ability to change, on our thoughts making a difference, we rely on the reality of God and what God can do. As Christians, we come to the Psalms in a different way from how they were written. Because we come to them through the lens of Jesus. They were the prayers that he read. They were part of how he communicated with his Father and how Jesus understood himself. And so when we read about God in the Psalms, not only do we believe the truth that they say about God in general, but we also see them very specifically as speaking about Jesus, about who he was and how his relationship with the Father was and how Jesus saw the world and how we might see the world. And so when we are surrounded by chaos, not only do we look to God as our place of safety and security and refuge in general, but we look to God and recognize that Jesus is the seal of that hope. He is the foundation. The reason we can trust God as our place of security and safety is because we believe that Jesus has dealt with the chaos of this world, that he has dealt with our own sin and the sin round about us, that he has dealt with all of the negativity and all of the destruction. And through his resurrection, he gives us ultimate, transcendent hope. Not based in our own thinking, not based in our own ability to change our circumstance, not based in some general thought about the goodness of God, but very specifically focused on the fact that God has raised Jesus from the dead and that God will raise us with him to share in the new heavens and new earth. This is much more than wishful thinking, much more than simply hoping that things will get better, much more than a general belief in the goodness and power of God. It's believing in what God has done through Jesus Christ and what he will still do, because he has shown himself faithful to his Son, faithful to all creation, faithful to all humanity in Jesus. And he will be faithful to the end and beyond. Amen.
Glorious things of thee are spoken, Zion, city of our God, he whose word cannot be broken, formed thee for his own abode, on the rock of ages founded. What can shake thy sure repose? With salvation's walls surrounded, thou mayst smile at all thy foes. See the streams of living waters springing from eternal love. Well, supply thy sons and daughters, and all fear of want remove. Who can faint while such a river ever flows, their thirst to assuage? Grace which like the Lord the giver never fails from age to age. Round each habitation hovering. See the cloud and fire appear for a glory and a covering, showing that the Lord is near, thus deriving from their banner light by night and shade by day. Safe they feed upon the manna which He gives them when they pray. Savior, if